Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it.
Could be N, could be HO. Your fast track to fun with Rapido.
Bruce?
Lionel?
I'm imagining this is a segment on a all-star variety hour.
Okay. You know what I keep thinking when you're talking about segments? This is going to show you how old I am. I don't even know. I think they're still a little. But remember when we were much younger, you could get the various cereals in tiny little boxes, like variety packs and things like that.
Oh yeah,
that's what I keep thinking. Like, oh look, I've got the Fruit Loops, and and some of them you could cut the box open and
they came in those little
for your milk and stuff.
Yeah, they came in those flat little. They were
little tiny cereal boxes.
So they were little tiny cereal boxes, but you ate them by tipping them on their side and opening them up from the.
You cut the top and then through the wrapper, you can pour milk in them. As long as you didn't cut through the bottom wrapper, you're good. Or the bottom liner, I guess. Yeah. But that's what I think of All-Star Variety Hour. Vision. Oh, Mom got the good one. Was the Cocoa Puffs and the Sugar Pops and Fruit Loops and all the not healthy ones for you.
Yeah, so I don't think of that. I do think I don't know for some. I don't have a specific Well, I don't know, for some reason or other, I guess I always think of the variety shows from the old variety shows from the 60s and 70s. Like we need a
Carol Burnett or somebody like that.
We need a plate spinner.
There we go.
That's what we need. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we happen to have one here tonight. Lorne James, the plate spinner, the official plate spinner of the AML.
The AML plate spinner? There you go. Yeah. He can do 22 at one time.
So we're going to talk to Lorne James in this segment. He'll talk forever. We're going to cut him off.
Because segments are limited in time. Otherwise, they go way over and become a totally different thing. And then there's much more paperwork involved in everything.
Well, let's have that discussion. I feel like a segment can go as long as an hour.
Okay.
And then you can throw in, like a couple of little things on top of it. And then you've got your basic all-star variety hour.
There you go.
Because an all-star variety hour invariably has an intro and an outro by you and I.
Yes.
But if we're thinking...
And sometimes we get it right.
And if we're thinking ahead, when we're finished this segment, this will be a good segment to finish an all-star variety hour. We can do the outro at the end of this segment. And then all you and I have to do is the intro.
Beautiful.
And before you know it, boom, you get yourself an hour and 40-minute podcast, hour and 45-minute podcast.
How sweet is that?
And I know our buddy Josh Bowman. Boy, this has been an annoying fall. Although I have no idea. All I can tell you for sure, Lorne, and you're going to have to give me the okay. The only thing I can tell you for sure is that this will air before Springfield. That's all I can tell you, because I got stuff stacking up on the free channel. Lorne, are you there?
That's fantastic.
Oh, okay. So move your microphone a little closer to your mouth.
Is that better, Lionel?
Yeah. Do you have a Sharpie?
No, I use that. I gave that to Bruce so that way he could write his notes when he's making it like he always has. He has the problem.
Bruce, apparently you have a problem.
Well, I have more than one problem.
Lorne has come along. Lorne has come a long way since his first time on the podcast. He's getting pretty cocky now.
He is.
So, anyways, this is going to be on before Springfield, which I think is the big deal for. This is Lorne James from Otter Valley. Is it Model Railway?
It's OVRtrains.com, or Otter Valley Railroad is the legal company, and our new brand is OVR Trains.
Your new brand?
New brand.
What's that?
That's part of the new freight car lines that we're going to have on display at Springfield and talk about tonight.
Oh, okay. No, apparently he's decided what's going to be talked about tonight, Bruce.
Well, that's always a good idea that somebody has an idea what we're going to talk about, I think.
Is there any way to get brownie crumbs off your keyboard?
You need to use, you got a can of compressed air?
Yeah.
That will work.
Okay. I think I actually need
or a big soft brush, like an old shaving brush or something like that.
Okay.
Or flip it upside down and shake and...
Yeah, I've done that too. Actually, this keyboard is getting really gungy, and I've tried to clean it a couple of times, but I'm thinking it's just
it's due for replacement.
Yeah, it's just due for get rid of it because it's gungy.
Now, is it a wired or wireless one?
It's a wireless one.
Okay.
For my laptop, my Mac laptop.
Right.
But yeah, they just get too gungy. And I have one at the office I've never used, so I think I'll bring it home and stick it on here.
Oh, there you go. Swap them out, put the gungy one at the office. Maybe somebody will clean it there. Let this keyboard's crappy and then get all the proper stuff out and clean it right up.
I'm pretty sure this one's just going to see the bottom of the bin.
Oh, okay.
Nah, it's just too gungy. So anyways, Lorne, from Otter Valley, is it a railroad or railway?
Railroad.
Railroad. Does his microphone sound right to you, Bruce?
He sounds a little bit tinny and like he's on a phone call or something like that, but...
How about I get the tinniness and the bucket out of my head? How's that sound?
Yeah. Just scratch your microphone just to make sure it's... Oh, yeah, it's working. Just move it a little closer again then. And make sure you... What's the word when you're in the theater?
Enunciate.
Enunciate.
And
Project.
I will project
your voice to the farthest reaches of the theater.
Yes, there you go. Now you're getting it. You don't sound yourself, Lorne.
I'm just excited for the podcast, Lionel.
Oh, there you go. And the amazing part about this software, which I find somewhat annoying at times, is that probably when I listen to this, it'll sound fine. And I've been going on yammering on for 2 minutes about what it doesn't sound right.
No, Lionel, you're just going to sound marvelous like you always do.
I sound marvelous. You look marvelous. So the reason we're doing this is because Lorne is very excited. And, but I wanted to finish this fall, the late fall of 2022. I've been kind of annoyed because I was going to go see our buddy Josh Bowman and spend a day watching trains. Right. And I was going to take my snowblower over to get fixed.
Yes.
Or tuned up.
Right.
And I went into the local small engine place to pick up a part.
Right.
And they had, and I wanted to take I wanted to buy an old snowblower for my little apartment building.
Right.
And I went in there, and they had really nice, and the one I have at home, it's kind of just constantly annoys me for some reason or other.
Right.
I can't put my finger on it, but it just is never.
You've never really been happy with it, have you?
No, I never have. This is my third snowblower in the 30 plus, almost 40 years that I've been in this home.
Wow.
And this one just hasn't had it. And so I went into there, and they wanted $600 for this used Craftsman, and I thought, perfect. Because it's just everybody and his brother uses it over there. And I thought, I'm going to buy that. And then as I'm walking by, and I look, and they got this big sign up, sale. Clearance, or not sale, but tax included until the end of October.
All right.
And they had a really nice one for like $16.99. And then the lady comes who I know, and she says, I said, how much is this snowblower any good? She says, these ones are great. She says, I've had one for 7 years. It's awesome. You'll love it. And then I thought to myself, well, I could buy a used one for $600 and then she says, you know what? You're such a good customer. I can sell this to you for like $16.29.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I thought to myself, you know what? For like an extra $1,000, I can have myself a brand new snowblower.
And then your other one goes over to the other place.
Yeah, and the other one goes over the other place. And I can say, adios, buddy.
Yes, enjoy. Thanks for coming out.
Because there's nothing I enjoy more than coming home from Florida in late November, early December, just so I can snowblow for a week or two.
Oh, exactly. And especially when you get there and the end of your driveway's got that 3-foot bank where the plow's gone by and it's hard as a rock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the best. That's the best. And I'm one of those I'm like a classic old guy now. You know, I got to have my driveway's just got to be perfect when it snows.
Right.
Because
yeah.
I don't like it. I hate it when it gets ruddy and then you're trying to snowblow.
Oh, yes.
Anyways, enough about. So that's pretty much all the time we have.
So you were going to go see Josh.
Oh, yeah.
But you digressed a bit and told us that now you don't need to have him fix your snowblower, it sounds like.
Right. Well, I'm going to still have him tune up my old one.
Okay, the old one is going to the apartment building.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, so we made. He talked about coming over and watch trains for today, and I haven't made it over there yet. And today was another spectacularly beautiful day.
Yeah,
and I had one of those incredibly annoying days where I'm not really much one for putting stuff on my phone for appointments and that. But I had put an appointment for a test I had to do at the hospital that I completely wiped from my mind. And at 8:30, my phone, or 8 o'clock, my phone starts beeping and honking and carrying on. And I look down and like, oh, crap. I got to be down in Toronto in the next hour and a half.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Anyways, so then I didn't get over to Josh. It would have been a perfect day to go see Josh. I don't know if I'm going to make it. What do you think, Lorne? What are the odds? What are the Vegas odds? Are we going to have one more good day in October?
I think the next frost is Friday, so I think you could probably get it in tomorrow or Thursday.
Oh, okay. Well, tomorrow I got to go to Toronto for something else. I spend a lot of time in Toronto. For a guy that lives 40 miles away, I spend a lot of time in Toronto.
You ever thought about getting one of those Go ride passes? Then you can just enjoy the ride in, Lionel?
Yeah, actually I haven't. I would really enjoy it because the last bus leaves at, I believe, 7:50, which is a.m., which would be right up my alley. Roll out of bed about 10 to 6 or 10 to 7. Stumble down to the bus station. Take a long hour and 45-minute bus ride. No, that ain't happening, buddy.
No, I was thinking the Go train.
That ain't happening. Oh, yeah, it leaves at, the last one leaves at 10 to 8 or something.
Yeah, I would assume the Barrie service wouldn't be too bad.
10 to 8.
But it doesn't get you into Toronto at a reasonable time, and then until they get the full
Can anybody hear me? I said it leaves at 10 to 8 in the morning. Hello, McFly.
You get up early in the morning, Lionel. You've already proven that many times over. We know that.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Friday and Saturday look pretty good for going to see Josh.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the 14-day for Cobourg, Ontario, which is east of Toronto, west of Montreal. Partly sunny on both Friday and Saturday. Temps in the mid-teens. It looks like prime time.
All right. Well, there's hope yet.
There's hope yet, and let's see. And then
by the time Josh listens to this, I will have either made it over.
Whether you've been there or not been there, and I'm going, what do you guys talk?
I'm proud of you for servicing it.
Next week looks pretty decent too.
Oh, does it? Well, that would be my best shot.
Yeah, we're talking like, it's looking pretty good. Yeah.
All right, Lorne.
So there we go. Are we going to talk to Lorne?
Yeah, let's talk to Lorne because Lorne is all excited.
Is Lorne here?
Lorne is here.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Lorne.
Lorne is here. Lorne's all excited because he's now started a freight car manufacturing company.
Wow.
Why did you start doing that, Lorne?
Well, what really happened was just before I had bought my dad out in 2019, Andrew Duns and I had talked about where we kind of had envisioned when I got control of the company, what our thoughts were. And I said to him, I'd really like to have kind of like a Bowser, where Bowser makes product, but he also has English Hobby Supply. I'd like to, be able to do 1 or 2 cars a year, as well as a brand extension inside the retail shop. And then, him and I start talking, and he's like, well, I'm going to go get a 3D printer. I'm going to try a few things out. We talked about our first couple cars off the hop, and he was enamored with the National Steel Car 6400 because at the time they were the common car doing the Ontario power generation decommission. So he was watching that train every day with all these big gondolas taking out equipment and taking out parts for there. And next thing you know, he does a couple 3D prints. He shows me, and he's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, let's see if there's a test bed. And then it just grew from our first event in 2021, the pop-up event. And then we found a manufacturer and a builder in China that fit with us, and did some samples with them, did tooling. And then, in the summer, we unveiled our first tooling sample. And then at our pop-up event in September of 22, we showed every single paint scheme we're doing in the first run, which is 132 row numbers. They're currently in production. I speak to the factory every day. Usually I get a message or two, either A, how much units have been produced so far, or any paint chips or any variations that they come across.
So they're
very communicative. with me.
Don't tell me anything you don't want to tell me, because I know it's. Don't become one of those guys where you're super secretive about manufacturing business and model railroading, because I find that to be endlessly annoying. Although, Bruce, I listened to our last interview with Jason Schron,
Yes.
and he tries as hard as he can to convey as much information as he can.
He does. He's as open as any of them are. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, none of them can beat Keith Ravel for being open. How'd you do that? I Googled it.
I Googled it and learned how to make a Shea locomotive in China.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw him on the Dude Show there the other week.
Yeah. He
So-
expects that Shea to be delivered later. Well, probably before this airs, he expects it to be out.
Really, eh?
Yeah. Last I saw was, I think it was fall of 2022. This was 2023.
I got to buy one.
I'll have to look and see.
I got to buy one. I don't think. I wonder if it is coming out. Nah, I don't think so yet. All right. Here's my question, Lorne. Did Jason Schron help you find this manufacturer, or did you find it on your own?
I found it on my own.
Really?
Yeah.
And what did you do? Google it?
Nope. Through the years of having the retail shop, I had different builders over in China reach out to me, and I have a fair number of friends in the industry, and I just networked, communicated, and started connecting with the factories and the sub builders and trying to identify the right fit.
Okay.
And I started with seven contacts of firms over there, and I went down to one.
Okay, this is a discussion.
Within about 3 weeks.
This is a revolutionary discussion we got to have, because this happened to Stephen Atwell, and I still want to have that show with you and Stephen and Chris Brimley. But Stephen Atwell told me that he had a manufacturer from China cold call him, via email, wanting to know if he wanted to manufacture anything. I think that when that factory died over there, whatever was it, Sandakan or something?
AFA.
Yeah, when they folded up and it seemed to leave everybody in the lurch, I think there's a lot more people that have opened up into that business. And there's a lot more opportunity for people to get cars manufactured. Is that possible?
To a level degree of varying quality. I had to narrow down the other 6 based on their quality, their track record, the correct and incorrect answers they gave me, and just because someone had worked previously at AFTA doesn't mean they're a good fit for what you're looking to do. And
right.
that was a challenging thing. One gentleman basically messages me every week, and what he's trying to sell me, I would never sell in my hobby shop in North America ever in my life.
Really?
And it's like, hey, I used to came from AFA, and I'm like, why are you selling me a picture of Tonka trucks? I don't sell Tonka trucks. I could care less about Tonka trucks. So again, a lot of it, I always wondered when you get these random emails and messages if they're just trying to bait you for money. And that's why you have to really be careful and cautious. And I mean, I took a long approach over the last 3 years, and now that I've found my fit, I'm happy every day. Every day I'm excited to see the new progress. I've been more motivated with this label in the last 3 months. Obviously, I have a competitor that's making the same car as me, but that just motivates me even harder to bring out an amazing product. And, we've already announced 2 more cars after this car.
Well, you're an intelligent guy. I mean, this is right up your alley, staying organized and making it work and all that. I mean, you're nobody's fool.
Just like making a widget at university. Just learn how to make a widget, the same concept.
Oh, yeah? Is that Bruce, you went to university? Is that what happens in university? You learn how to
they didn't teach us how to make widgets, but I learned how to smack rocks with hammers.
Widget is the concept of every dynamic object they teach you in university, whether it's economics, accounting, or whatever. And no one ever describes what a widget actually is. It's just an item.
Well, when I went to see my guidance counselor about university, I went, have you thought of maybe a different career?
Lionel, we already established you're a student, but not a student in quotations. Yes, remember? We already know that.
He's a student, yes.
Yeah.
And this is in the Shea is supposed to be out early winter 2022.
Wow. Early winter 2022. Yeah. Okay.
So that's imminent.
Or that would be late fall 2022.
It's likely probably soon going to be on a boat if it's that timeline.
I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay, so you found a guy. So it's through through the process, you found somebody to help you manufacture this car for you. And knowing you and what's your friend's name, Andrew?
Andrew Duns.
Andrew Duns. And between the two of you, you guys, I can't imagine you've done anything but try to produce an absolute perfect replica of the car. I'm sure you guys have. I'm looking at a photo of it right now, and looks like a pretty cool model to me.
This is our first tooling sample without any revisions out of the factory. There was 4 revisions that need to be made on the plastic. We've already made them. And there was 2 errors on the artwork that only 2 people out of 1,000 found. And I unfortunately gave the factory the wrong paint color, which was a transposition error, but it was resolved. So it's still a beautiful car. This car actually works every day on Andrew's layout because he took the sample home with him, but I haven't seen the sample since the event.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I tried to tell him, like, you took the company's seed money, bring it back, please. He's like, I'll see you when we have another sample, Lorne.
What kind of couplers has it got on it?
So this is a KD style coupler. So this car will not have KDs, but our next 2 will have KDs. I actually just received my first OEM bulk order from KD, which will do our next 2 cars. So going forward, every of our car will have the KD 158 whisker.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
The 158 whisker.
Yes.
Yes, it's beautiful.
I don't know if
And what about the trucks?
The trucks are insulated brass. They have rotating bearings. And this is the first one. The trucks have each road number and road markings pad printed on each of the truck sets. So that's another unique feature.
Wow.
Run that one by me again.
So I'll show you on the picture I'm sharing with you, Lionel.
Okay. Oh, he's going to use this one.
Do you see the decal right there?
Yeah.
That is the road marking. So this one is AIMX. So that's AIMX and then the road number. Each truck has that of each of the road name and marking on each of the truck axis. Yep.
Wow.
That's another unique feature of our car. Now these cars are obviously they're shined up. They will be blackened down as in for road service.
So how did you figure out the wheel sets? Did they have access to wheel sets, or did you?
We tooled a brand new truck.
You tooled a brand new truck, but what about the axles and the wheels? Like, did they have those and said, "Hey, we got these for you"? Or what?
Both myself and him had an OEM partner over in China that we worked with.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Or OEM means original equipment manufacturer.
Correct.
Right. And are they like an RP25 or Code 88 wheel or whatever the
Code 88.
skinny ones? Code 88, so the sort of the semi-prototype.
Yep.
Have a good.
They look
question.
good in the picture. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they look good.
And they will be.
I have a question.
They'll be darkened down. These are the bright ones, but they'll be darkened down.
Yeah. The markings on the truck. What happens if they have to switch out a truck? Do they mark the new one so it stays with that car? Or?
Most of them will either start with the NSC truck and then go back to the Barber, or they'll go back to the quad truck. Some of them have retained the marking and some haven't, but that's going to be up to the operator if they want to put it in road grime or if they want to do a truck replacement. But ours are basically as delivered. I thought about doing in grime or in service. Maybe in future runs we'll offer graffitied or in grime service or mix and match. But I've probably looked at 5,000 of these cars. I went on our vacation this summer. I went to the second largest transfer waste site in North America and got to smell garbage 5 miles long and looked at about 400 cars. And my wife.
Well, there's a fun family trip. Let's go down and smell garbage, kids. Well, Dad looks at some railway cars.
My wife, my mother-in-law, and my daughter thought I was absolutely nuts. Well, I'm running out of the truck, basically paint sampling, measuring everything, and my wife's just like, okay. We stopped in the middle of Ohio to smell trash.
Really, are they?
Yes, is he? Daddy's having another one of his moments.
But really, are they that far off?
No, not really.
Yeah, I think they're original.
I mean, for our pop-up event, I came home with a speeder car the day before.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You bought one?
Yep.
What kind?
Didn't tell the wife until 2 months before I showed up. I bought it 2 years prior.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, remember that episode where I told you about the Pico track? I learned a lesson. Only ask for forgiveness when you need to.
There you go. So when I go to your Facebook page or your website, now here's a question. I think this is, when I go to your website, a few times I've gone to find out stuff about your car. Why isn't there more stuff on here about these cars?
So first reason why is I have it under our OVRtrains.com/OVR trains, our private label on the right hand. The website, look, I'm not ready to make the transition, but I also wasn't willing to pause the site for multiple weeks, and I couldn't delay announcing it. So I just took the gambit and said, I'm going to announce it. It's going to be up here, and when I'm ready to make the transition, I'll make the transition. But I couldn't wait any longer to do it after a competitor announced drawings, and I had already had toolings and samples in my hand. So I just said, enough's enough.
You didn't even answer the question. You didn't even, Bruce. You didn't even answer the question. You're like, this isn't politics. What I want to know is, how come when I open up the Otter Valley Railroad website and I start scrolling and I see the, going across there, it shows the Bowser Elco RS3, and then there's a video about the huge train store Otter Valley, and then welcome back, Rapido Trains, blah, blah, blah. Click here for our new August newsletter. Then there's some BC Rail stuff. And then there's the Rapido bus, and then there's a CP. Why isn't there anything on here about your new freight car?
Because I've been slow doing the update. I need to do the update again.
Well, yeah, because if you want people to know about this thing, don't you want to tell them?
Well, so we announced all 3 cars at the event.
Oh.
I did a giant newsletter. I did a giant social media. And on this first car alone, we're already 30% sold. We haven't even got the container yet.
Wow. Well, that's good. But that still doesn't answer the question.
I will fix the front of the site over the next couple of weeks. I have been busy with both the shop, and I've also been doing a lot of Lion stuff. I was telling Bruce, so I've been burning at both ends, unfortunately, the last few weeks.
You've been doing a lot of Lion stuff. Like, do you have a show in Vegas or something?
No, I'm a Lion International member, and the last week I've been volunteering my time at the Simcoe Norfolk Fair, cooking food.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get something on here about these cars because you're so excited. Well, how have you managed to sell 30% of them when you don't have anything on your website?
We actually have every single car we're offering on our website. If you go to the right-hand side where it says OVR Trains Private Label, click that, and it shows every car that we're going to be making for the next 6 months.
All right, slow down. All right, so I'm on your website. I see home, new products, HO scale, N scale, all products, FAQ. Your cart, contact us. Then on the next one is what's new, decoders, estate, scratch building announcements, hot items, super saver, HO, N scales. Where do I see something about these cars?
So scroll down the right side where it shows manufacturer list and go right to the bottom where it says OVR Trains Private Label.
Oh my God, that's it? That's all you got on the main page? That's pathetic. Come on, man. Wow, here's all the cool stuff.
You've got lots of stuff.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So you're selling them in units of 6 at a time?
Singles and 6.
Okay.
I've had about 6 different guys buy the complete set already.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 of them are $389 for 6.
Yep.
And now what is it? It's $69.99 for an individual car.
Yep. So you're looking at the 6000 series. So there's 3 cars in that listing. There's the 6000, the 6400, as well as the pipe car we're doing as well.
Now, we should keep in mind, remind everybody that's Canadian prices.
Correct.
So $69.99 in American. What is your
52. 52 American.
Okay.
Yep.
And you must get a lot of people. Wanting to buy it. Your majority of your customers must be American, aren't they?
The 6400, almost 80% of all orders are American. On the other 2 cars, it's about half and half.
Okay. The 5400. What's the 5400?
The 6400 cubic. The big one we're looking at. That's a big American car compared to the Canadian market. I anticipate to sell about 60 to 80% of the entire shipment to the United States. And
have you made plans about how you're going to do your shipping? Because when you and I first started talking, I was quite concerned about the fact that you weren't shipping that well to the United States.
Yep, I've already spoken with my rep. They came down to renegotiate my contract, as well as we implemented a couple small packet and cubed options that'll improve the service.
What rep? Rep for what?
Canada Post.
Oh, okay. So you ship everything from Canada Post?
Yes.
I tried to ship a couple of T-shirts the other day, Bruce, to Australia. $55.
Yeah, postage to Down Under and from Down Under just stupid right now.
It's gone ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm thinking we might have to increase the price a little tiny bit on the Patreon page. So you have you're going to ship everything Canada Post.
Yep, and I'm also have an option to ship it U.S. side too. So there's a couple options that'll be done. So I've made some plans, and I'm happy with what systems I have in place. And when it comes to showing the remaining of all the cars, we're going to have every single production sample on hand at the Springfield Amherst 2023 show. So everyone will see every paint scheme we're doing. And we're anticipating that the entire container will either have arrived or had subsequent arrived after the show. So my goal is to be close to 90% sold out when the container arrives.
Wow. That's pretty good.
So my thought was the Amherst show will put me over the top, because then people can actually see every production sample, and we'll be taking pre-orders and orders right there at the event.
Pre-orders and orders for what?
So pre-orders for the 6400, for the 6000 in the pipe.
All right, slow down. You're talking riddles. Nobody can understand anything you've talked about. Oh my God, man! I am like you're lucky you found me, because I just gotta straighten you out. I've had a long day. Don't give me any grief. So, all right, you talked 64. Let's go back to the top of the page. So this is, what is this car again? This is a garbage car, basically.
It's a garbage and also scrap car.
Okay. And it's a 64-foot, 6,000 cubic foot gondola.
No, it's a 64-foot, 6,400 cubic is the trash one, and the 6,000 cubic one is only for scrap.
Oh, okay. So there's two different. So there's two different cars. There's
the big and the little, and then the other car we'll talk about later.
There's a third version of this?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk about that later, Bruce. Okay, I keep scrolling and I'm not seeing anything.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm not seeing anything more.
You got to get way down to the bottom before you get to the flat cars and stuff.
Well, I'm not seeing anything more than 6,000 cubic foot gondola. Oh, there it is. There's one 6,400 cubic foot scrap car. Okay, there you go. Gardella. Who's that? Or Cardella?
Cardella is a large waste management service based in New Jersey.
But it's a 6,400 cubic foot.
It's only garbage. It's only garbage.
All right. So 6,400 is garbage. 6,000 is scrap?
Is scrap.
Okay. Are you getting any of this, Bruce?
Got her.
Okay.
Basically, look at it this way, Bruce.
And what difference does it make? See, the problem is you give too many details.
About 400 cubic feet.
Yeah.
Yes, and why they went down to the 6,000 is some of the scrap producers were actually cracking some of the 6,400 cars inside because they were overweighting them. So, and National Seal said we're going to go down to the 6,000 cubic. So some of the operators still have 6,400 cubic cars in their fleet, like Amex, like you see the one paint scheme, and CBMX, which is actually a Canadian scrapper based out of Toronto. They actually have a roster of cars. But the other ones like CDX, that's garbage. Cardella is garbage. Oak Ridge is garbage. They have a facility just in the Northeast. You got some of the other garbage cars we're doing. They're garbage. They don't handle scrap. They only handle municipal solid waste, as they call it, MSD.
Okay, that's probably way too much information.
So when Andrew was designing the 6,400, him and I agreed that we wanted to also do the 6,000 and make the tooling uniformable. And what that means is the tooling can do multiple cars.
Well, sure. Okay, that's cool. But then you said to me, there, you're hoping to have them 90% sold by the time you get to Springfield. So that
after Springfield,
so that you can take. Okay, so you're trying to say that you wanted to take pre-orders and at Springfield, and then by then you're hoping to have them 90% sold after Springfield.
Correct.
Okay. I'm exhausted, Bruce. How about you?
I'm just looking at there's a ton of stuff that they're bringing out here.
It's a big offering, Bruce. I kind of went off the deep end for the event in September, and I know Lionel's laughing, but I really didn't want to formally announce the cars until the day of the event, but when the other manufacturer kind of jumped me, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go full out guerrilla. I announced everything that we were going to offer plus some, And I'm like, I didn't hold back. And then Andrew's like, so how are you feeling? I'm like, we're going to announce the other 2 cars right now, and we're going to send a message so nobody else jumps us again.
Exactly.
Because that scared me. That scared me, guys.
Oh, that would throw a bit of a shock into you. Yeah.
Well, I'm already out hundreds of thousands of dollars, and all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I'm going to get jumped now, and this is not good. And I'm going to a knife fight with a small knife, and they got a large machete, and I'm like, no, this is not happening.
I don't think you'll have any problem selling these cars.
And that's what I was saying to you, Lionel, is by having all the production cars with me, everyone's going to see every paint scheme I'm offering.
You're not going to be able to fit these all on a table.
I have 3 tables.
Problem solved.
And it's booked. I'm already there and booked. You're going to see my lovely face every day there.
Well, what building are you in?
I don't know yet.
But it's booked.
I asked to be in the Canadian building, and John said he would work on it.
The Canadian building? There's a Canadian.
That'd be where Rapido is?
No, they're in a different building. I'd be with Sylvan and ITLA and all those guys.
Oh, okay.
And why do you want to be there? Why not separate yourself? Why do you want to be with the Canadian people? What difference does it make? What possible difference does it make what building you're in? Who you're surrounded by? We took over. We get to take over. Modeler's Life gets to take over the 3 tables that Jim Sacco had for 30 years, and we're beside Bowser and ESU, and we don't care who we're beside. Why are you being so? What difference does it make what building you're in? It makes a difference what building you're in, but not who you're beside or who you're with. Across the road from us is Fred Hill from Whistle Stop in Pasadena.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to be.
And the passenger car guys in there too.
And the passenger car guys are there.
All it was, honestly, guys, was if we were going to coordinate with going across the border with Sylvan or a couple other ones, if we were going to consolidate our import together, it was if we wanted to be together. And a couple of the guys that are helping me were like, so what booth are we, or what building are we going to be? Like, well, I asked John for the Canadian one, so, we're close to Claire and ITLA, but if I'm with the other building with Bowser, that's cool with me too.
Yeah, I bet you ITLA and Nick, I bet you he can be a big help. And also Rick, with the bridge guy.
Hunterline.
Rick Hunter.
Yeah, those guys can probably be a big help for you trying to figure out how to... Because if you sell stuff, you got to have...
Massachusetts sales tax number, and I got to do the declaration, and I got to do a brokerage over $2,500 import in the United States.
Yeah. And I was going to... Uncle Dave and I were talking about making mugs to sell.
All right.
And but then I thought, then you got to get a Massachusetts sales tax number.
Yeah.
And blah 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 blah, just to sell a few mugs.
Yeah.
That Massachusetts sales tax number is not worth the headache.
I can well imagine.
So I have to still fill out an import declaration for my samples. So I still have to do paperwork just to bring the samples across the border.
Yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of headache for a podcast.
It is, but. Sometimes I give too much info on the podcast, like I always do.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you haven't yet. All right. So what are the others? So you got these garbage and scrap metal cars that are huge,
yep.
and you made several thousand of those, which you've already sold 30% of them.
Yep.
So you're well on your way. So you got nothing to worry about with this other manufacturer, this bigger manufacturer that produced the same car. I wonder why they produce the same car. Who cares? You're going to sell yours.
I don't know why they did it. I've let the markets know I've been making this car for how many times? I've told about this on how many different podcasts, Facebook, social medias. Sometimes it happens in this hobby where all of a sudden no model's made. Next thing you know, there's 3 guys making it. It's just weird.
Yeah.
So anyways, Andrew and I were like, you know what? We're announcing the 6400s. We're going to announce the 6000s. And the demand on them has been amazing.
Really?
Amazing. And it's like, okay. And then we're like, okay, are we going to make the baby with the baby's 4,000 cubic? And we're like, well, the baby only has 2 buyers, so we're going to wait on that one. But we have friends that are well at National Steel, and they're giving us information as it comes about some of the next purchasers of these cars. So we're getting information literally the days it comes off the production line. So, we're planning second and third run on the 6400. We're planning a second run on the 6000. The toolings are designed to handle many thousand hits. The tooling is modular in design, so we can use it for multiple variations of the same car. I really have focused on northeastern and Canadian roads. I have not focused on roads west of the Mississippi because I just want to avoid those, unfortunately. And then the third car we announced is a
Well,
big giant.
we haven't even talked about the second car you announced. Slow down.
Well, so the second car is the 6000.
I didn't even ask you about it. Oh,
Okay.
Are you talking? Are we still talking about gondolas?
Yeah,
Yes.
the 6000
Well,
gone.
it's enough of the gondolas. You've confused everybody.
Okay, we'll make
Well,
it.
not really. There's a 6,000 and a bunch of paint schemes that haul scrap.
The
There's a
6000 is predominantly black.
6400s and a bunch of paint schemes
Yeah.
that haul garbage. And then
Okay.
he's got his flat car.
Okay, and that's cool. So let's move on. We got that you got these cars, but put them on the front. Put them on the front page of your website.
I will have them up before weekend's out, and it will be plastered. The other car that we're doing, if we can move off the big gondola, because I know Lionel's had enough of the big gon.
I've had enough of the big gon. Because you're a very much a numbers oriented guy, and you talk in way too much detail when we're doing a podcast. I mean, it's great detail. Don't get me wrong, it's great detail, but my head is spinning.
So the 6000, just so we can finish, is all in black. So all the paint schemes are black because that's the common color for the scrap producers.
Okay.
So we're also, just so everyone knows, we're also offering unlettered black and unlettered gray.
Oh, that's cool.
And that has been crazy. So I posted that on the freelance Facebook group, and within 4 days I had 300 pre-orders for the two versions.
Wow.
And
now, is that like, has it got data on it, or
has everything? You can put your own road name on there.
So everything data only.
And different variations on the colored trucks. So we have blue painted cap trucks instead of black. It has all the data, has different versions, you name it. And like, and the builder in China was like, so you're actually going to offer this? I'm like, you tell me the minimum that you'll accept, and I will get you the orders. And he's like, this is the number. I'm like, I have 3 times that. He goes, well, that's cool. Because their factory actually hates data cars because nobody can ever meet the minimum. And I'm like, we beat the minimum by 3 times. He goes,
they don't like data only cars
because they can't. Sometimes the builders can't meet the production quantities. It's all about marketing that product correctly.
Well, I understand that, but why would the manufacturer care about the data only cars if it's all up to the buyer to buy the cars? Like, I don't understand why the manufacturer.
The buyer wasn't willing to commit to the number that the builder wanted.
Okay, so then they never made them. Like,
that's right.
That's a pretty short conversation. He goes, we need 500 cars minimum, and the guy goes, well, I don't have orders for 500 cars. Okay, discussion over.
Yep.
So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like you said, they don't like it, and I'm thinking, well, what don't they like? There's just no discussion.
So there's the other paint schemes. There's the IWX, the Oak
You're
Ridge.
still talking about the gondola. Enough with the gondola.
All right.
We got it, and we're going to see. We're going to see
about the pipe car then.
Then we'll see, and we're going to see them all. We're going to see them all at Springfield.
Yes.
On your 3-table display.
Yes.
So now you got a bulkhead cars. So what they are, pipe cars?
They are a Freight Car America is the builder. There was only buyer, which was the Canadian National Railway, and they were for pipe cars going to tar sand and other related operations. And in later years, CN did not renew the lease contract, and they went into secondhand lease by markings of CWLX. The reason why I'm making this car, Lionel, is I actually need 60 of them for my layout.
Right from the page book of Jason Schron.
Absolutely, right from the page book.
Yes.
I'm only offering 36 road numbers in the first run for 2, Bruce. I don't have enough for me yet. So
I'm assuming you're not making nearly as many of these as you're making of the gondola.
Well, the gondola's got a lot of road numbers, so that's a different one. That one I can sell unit trains. This one, it's a little different. People have to understand the car. People have to understand what the car hauls. So everyone, when I first announced it, like, so it hauls timber? I'm like, it doesn't haul timber. It hauls pipe.
Time out. I'm assuming you're not making as many of these because it's a Canadian national. It's a Canadian specific car. So I'm assuming you're not making as many of these because they're going to be harder to sell.
Absolutely not. My numbers on these will be higher per road number than the other cars.
So the overall quantity will be more than the gondolas?
No.
Exactly. Holy mackerel, Bruce. He's like wound up. I think we're going to have to take him out of the freight car business. He's wound up. He is.
I got too many spikes on the go, Lionel. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got too many plates spinning right now. That's
you got way too many plates spinning, buddy.
Actually, Andrew said that today to me. He goes, "You need to stop talking about the next fourth and fifth and sixth car. Wait till the first three come. Stop."
Yes.
Exactly. You're excited because this is starting to work out. So I know you're making. We don't want to talk about quantities because for some reason or other, manufacturers don't want to talk about quantities.
If I tell you the quantities, everyone will be able to figure out the margin and the volume and everything, and that's why nobody can say it.
That makes sense. So you told me offline what the quantity is of the gondola. So I'm well aware that can only imagine that the quantity for the pipe car is considerably less, the overall quantity.
Correct.
Because this is a rather unique car, primarily in the Canadian market.
Actually,
don't get hung up on only making Canadian cars. That's a mistake.
So I want to actually set the record straight. I have pictures of this car in 14 states in 6 provinces. So this car is not Canadian only.
Okay. All right. Well, then you should be able to sell a bunch of those stateside as well.
Already have.
Okay. Well, then there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, this is a pretty cool looking car. So this car was primarily made to ship pipe across to the oil sands.
Oil sands and other similar refining and mining operations. So a lot of the cars originate in southern Ontario or in the northeast, wherever the pipe comes. So a lot of these pipe has threaded rods, so they'll have different colored ends. So this car that I'm showing here, it has orange ends, but a lot of the cars will either have orange, red, or blue ends, and all that varies by the customer. If you're ever out rail fanning and you see this car, they actually will mark on the car and on the pipe the destination and the actual client size that's using it. So they actually have it marked by like industry type on the pipe.
So this is some of this pipe is manufactured in the northeast of the United States.
Northeast, but predominantly a good chunk of it comes out of Welland, Ontario.
Okay, so northeast as well. So is the pipe going to come with this car?
We're going to offer the car with no load, and then we're going to offer 4 different colored loads.
Okay, so it can come with the pipe.
Yep.
Wow. 4 different colors of pipe? It looks all black.
For colored ends.
Oh, for colored ends. You're actually going to do that?
Yes.
Wow. That's going to be pretty cool. That should be a popular car.
We're going out in the next 2 weeks to measure some different pipe loads at the manufacturer because they're giving us a tour of the facility, and I'm going to have storyboard content of how the pipe starts from beginning and then goes out by rail.
Down to Stout Pipe?
That would be the old stopping grounds.
Yes. Okay.
Where are we talking?
East of the Welland Canal, down in Welland,
what was the
Ontario.
name? What did you say, Bruce?
Stout Pipe.
Formerly Stout Pipe. Now.
Talk slower. Talk slower. You are talking to people all over the world. That's this is where I was used to yell at Bruce about. He'd say some Canadian thing, and I'd say, "Well, you got to explain to people what you're talking about, and you can't just go Stout Pipe, blah 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 blah," because. There are people in New Zealand listening to this. There are people in South Africa. We have a fella in Poland that listens. We have more than one person in Poland. We got people all over the world. So just blurting out Stelpipe means nothing to most people.
So
all you're doing is making me angry.
I know. That's part of my role tonight.
Oh.
Formerly Stelco Pipe, Stelco being one of the largest Canadian producers of steel and pipe in Canada. They had a former operation in Welland, Ontario, which is in the southeast corner of Ontario.
Very near Buffalo.
About an hour west of Buffalo. The operation now is referred to as Atlas Pipe, and at one time was referred to as Welland Pipe. Their physical plant is on the former Canada Southern line of the New York Central.
There you go. Now we're getting some. So Welland, Ontario is even less than an hour from Buffalo unless you're driving backwards.
45 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so this all comes out of that Great Lakes, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario.
Correct.
Not very far from Cleveland, Ohio.
Not far from Cleveland.
You're just across the lake from Cleveland, Ohio. The Mistake on the Lake. Just down the road from Detroit. So it's in that not very far from Toronto. Not very far from Pittsburgh. It's in that area of North America.
Correct.
And okay, this is a cool car. And what's the other car you're making?
The 6400, the
Well-
6000 scrap, and the 52-foot bulkhead pipe car.
Oh, I
That's the
thought you
first
said you had
cars.
3 cars.
I do have 3. The big gondola.
That's a stretch. That's a stretch. Okay, you got different variations of the gondola. That's okay. I get that now.
Yeah.
Well, that's not 3 cars. Was it different tooling for the 2 gondolas?
I had to purchase and tool inserts for the second car. So it is different tooling. Only some parts of that tooling can work on the second car.
Okay, so some of the tooling from the first car can be applied to the second car.
Yes.
So that's a bit of a stretch. You got two distinct cars, and then you have different variations of the gondola. That's what the word we should have been talking about is variations. And then if you had a proper spot on your website where people could get all the information, you could just say, well, if you go to Otter Valley and click right on the top there on the menu bar, and you just click Otter Valley Trains, you'll see all the information you need.
Once I finish the podcast, I'm going to make the edits tonight.
Well, why do you need me to tell you that? You should already know. You're a lot smarter than me.
I know, but I constantly seem to have so many things on the go, and it's just I fall behind on things. That's
Okay.
all.
What are you doing for the weights in the gondolas?
So there's a metal insert at the bottom, and it's already part of the tooling. So it's already weighted to NMRA specs.
Oh, okay. I thought you were, what was the deal? There was some. Oh, the floor. The floor.
Yeah, I had first discussed putting a metal weight in there and having it faded or weathered. But after review with the factory, they're like, we can actually just incorporate that with the frame. And I'm like, that sounds better.
Well, let's not leave out the discussion where you and I were talking about that one day, trying to figure out what to do with the weight.
Yeah, I called my bat phone for the expertise of Lionel Strang, and I said, what do you think about this and this? And you're like, weathered floor sounds awesome, Lorne, do it.
Yeah.
But then the factory said, well, actually, we can improve the production and reduce your production unit cost if we do it this way. I'm like, okay, that sounds better.
So what are you doing for logistics to get who organizes the logistics to get the cars from China to Canada?
So my friend and I have 2 friends both at the Long Beach port and at the port of Vancouver. So we're just going to determine what the spot rate is 2 weeks prior to shipping, and then we're going to pick the port.
So who's going to do the logistics?
The 2 friends, one of our friends at one of the ports. We're going to determine which port we're going to use, whether it's Long Beach to Ohio or Vancouver to Toronto.
So do either of these people have any experience in having containers shipped to these ports?
Both of them work for container shipping companies.
Well, how did you meet these guys?
University.
All right, so this is like you haven't talked to them for 10 years, and now you're talking to them?
No, I talked to my friend who imports about 20 containers a month, and I reconnected with one of our old friends.
Okay, so you got, but don't you have to? Isn't it typical to have a logistics company handle all that for you?
It is, but he offered me a solution that would be all-purpose that would go right from the boat to train to a domestic port, and I could go right in the domestic port and pick it up myself.
So who's responsible for getting the container on the boat?
That will be the firm that's handling it with the shipping company in China.
Oh, so you got so they have a logistics company.
Yeah.
And will you have your own container? Will it like be a 20-foot container with just your stuff in it?
Yes.
Yeah, but it won't fill a 20-foot container, will it?
It'll get close.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Man, you got to get pictures. So all right. So the manufacturer is handling the logistics of getting the container on the ship.
Yep.
And when then somewhere along the way, you're going to decide which port you're going to send it to?
No, we'll decide before it leaves China based on the delay and the spot rate of the container price.
What's the spot rate of the container price? What's that? You know, Bruce? Bruce, you must know all that.
I'll let Bruce answer that one first.
I would guess that if it's anything else, depending on when you ship something, your shipping costs will be different. And that is typically called, or rates are called spot rates, dealing at a time. You get them in financials as well, banks of spot rates and stuff. So it's the going rate for a container being shipped. So they'll look at Long Beach or Vancouver, and whoever's cheapest wins.
So the spot meaning the spot that it's put in.
The rate you're charged to move the container.
Move the container off the ship?
Yeah.
Out of mainland China to the port.
Oh, okay. So that has to all be decided before it gets on the ship.
Yes.
Oh, and you just have some friend that's an HO scale modeler that's going to do this for you.
No, he doesn't do trains. He actually moves.
So you're going to try to do this without the help of a logistics company?
No, he is a logistics company, and then we have a third-party broker that we're using too.
Oh, okay. So I wonder what any idea how much the spot rate is? Like, how much does it cost to move a container across the ocean? Do you not want to tell me?
The low end. Last couple weeks, the rates he was telling me, he was getting some clients down to $6,000 to Long Beach, but some spot rates are pushing back up to 12. I know Vancouver pushes right around 8 to 15, depending the date and time.
Okay.
So it can be a substantial amount of money between the two ports, but the other cost is getting it inland into me, and that's why I'm thinking that I'm probably going to use a U.S. port versus Vancouver.
So then it'll go on a train and end up in Buffalo?
Probably Toledo.
Ah, holy Toledo.
And then I'll go down and get it.
In your pickup?
I have another logistics option.
Oh, do you? You have a tractor?
Yeah.
Do you have your A license? You have a tractor?
I have a friend that does.
Okay, there you go. You're a piece of work, you know that?
I'm just going to get in the truck with him. Maybe I'll go across the border, and then he'll drive it, and then I'll do the paperwork, and we'll go home.
Okay. And then so where are you going to put this container when you get it back?
Well, when you come down there, I'll show you where I'm going to put it, Lionel.
Why am I coming down? How did I get involved?
Well, you want to see how much product I'm going to get, I assume.
Oh, yeah. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. I might, if I'm around, I might come by. But you're not putting it in the store. Are you renting like another unit or something?
No, I have a friend who has a pack barn. I'm going to use his floor for a while.
Has a what?
He has a tobacco pack barn that'll be empty. So
tobacco pack barn.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, but you go... Well, I have a friend that has a pack barn, and how many people on the planet do you think know what a pack barn is?
I would think half of North America knows what the term pack barn means.
I didn't know what a pack barn was, and I'm one of.
Bruce, you know what a pack barn is?
Bruce is on mute. Bruce left. Bruce doesn't care.
No, I'm here. I hit the button and hit mute and said, "No, I know what a pack barn is."
Oh, well, la-di-da. So all the cars are going to smell of tobacco?
No, the barn will be empty. My friend's will have most of his tobacco sold before the end of November.
What does an empty pack barn sound like or smell like?
It's just going to be basically dry concrete. That's all it is. It's just a dry concrete. It's basically an implement barn where you generally put your finished product or you put your tractors and equipment away, and I'll put the skids there, and then once I have it ready to handle, we'll pull it out of the barn, and then we'll take it to the shop.
What do you think you'll make after the pipe car?
Well, we actually have 3 more cars that are on the big board, and then we have another 20 cars on the magic board.
Of course he does.
Yeah, of course he does.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the next 3 cars?
I can't tell you yet.
Yeah, okay.
Is any one of them a 40-foot box car?
Never.
No, because I want to find somebody that's making that and buy a bunch of those.
The car, so I've actually, since we announced all that stuff at the event, every week I get 3 or 4 product inquiry emails. Hey, well, you thought about this car, Lauren? I'm like, hey, if you want to send me information, and maybe be part of our project team when we get there, can I have your contact and can we talk about it? And a lot of it has just been like, really good dialect. And the next 2 cars we're going to be 60s, 70s style cars. And then we're looking at possibly an 80s, 90s car. So it's not all going to be modern. I mean, I've been accused so far of only caring about modern. Yeah, that's not the case.
Yeah, I hope you're not making a 4750 covered hopper.
No.
Seems like everybody and his brother's making that.
That was a great podcast you had with Blaine. I took a lot of good insights away from that.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I did it especially for you.
I know you gave me a shout out on there too. I appreciate it.
Did I?
You did.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, this is the end of this segment because I'm exhausted, Bruce.
There you go.
Just like
there was one other thing I wanted to make notice.
That's too bad.
Oh,
Well, you shouldn't have spent so much time with all the facts and figures about your garbage and your scrap car.
give me 30 seconds and I'll make it quick.
All right.
So for the month of October, Otter Valley Railroad, in honor of my mother, who passed away with breast cancer in 2017, for the Canadian Breast Cancer Society, we have 3D printed my daughter Isabel, and we're offering HO and O scale Princess Izzy figures, and all the proceeds go to the Canadian Breast Cancer Society in honor of Lorne James.
Oh, cool. Unfortunately, October will have come and gone by any time anybody hears this, but is it on your website?
It is on our website, and Bruce has already ordered the figurines too.
It's already in my house.
The figurines are already there?
My little Lizzie showed up in the mail on Friday, I believe it was.
All right, so I'm going back to your website. Okay, I don't see it. Click here for her. No,
Click on what's new.
Why do you have it hidden?
Oh my God, I don't have it hidden.
Well, what's new? It's like I got nothing to do. Nothing.
So what's new probably shows a ton of pre-orders because we put a bunch of pre-orders up today.
Yes, it shows a whole bunch of Bowser RS3s.
Yeah. Well, people have been asking about those.
How are they selling?
I think we sold 24 in the first 2 hours we listed them today.
Man, these interstate ones are pretty cool.
Lee English makes a beautiful product, and his tooling is one of the nicest toolings in the market. I have such an utmost respect for Lee. Lee has been an amazing soundboard for me and discussion, and Lee has been a friend and really close confidant for a long time. And
yeah, but
he's a blessing to the industry.
But does he have a podcast?
Well, my best friend has the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
These interstate cars from Bowser. Boy, it took Bowser a long time to make these RS3s, eh? Didn't it?
They just delivered the American ones.
I know, but then it took them a lot. It seems to me I was seeing them at Springfield like 4 years ago. When they lost
AFA. They got really set behind.
Okay, I'm just having a general discussion. I wasn't dreaming it then.
Nope, you weren't.
No, exactly.
Trust me, there's a lot of guys that are like, oh my God, the RS3's out? I'm like, yeah, it was announced 4 years ago and it just arrived. They're like, oh my God, I didn't think it was ever going to come. Yeah, it was coming, just a slow boat.
It's, well, some of them aren't that or have I found them? Why are some of them, because some of them come with DCC and sound.
Yep.
And some of them are just DCC ready. Which sells the most? Oh, hang on a minute, I'm going to sneeze. False alarm. Which sells the most? DCC with sound or DCC ready?
If it's DCC and sound has ESU, it's usually 80-20. If it's DCC and sound with Tsunami, it's usually 50-50.
And why is that?
A lot of guys like the ESU decoder because they can have the customized file and constantly tweak the sound in it. And that's ESU's claim to fame, that they can tweak the file and have updated stuff, and you can get closer to accuracy and prototype sound as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, we're gonna have you on the podcast again sometime in the near future, and it's just gonna be me asking you questions, and you're gonna answer them slowly.
Is this the podcast where you hooked me up to a lie detector?
Yeah,
or
no. It's just.
Or are you gonna take away my lemon water that episode?
Yeah, I'll take away your. You have a lot of good information, and you're a really smart guy. You're a really, really smart guy, and you know a lot of stuff. And yet you talk too fast, so we miss a lot of really cool information. Anyways, I still say these interstate ones are really. That's a beautiful looking locomotive.
The popsicle paint scheme is really cool. I know.
What's that? Popsicle.
The interstate paint scheme is referred to as the popsicle paint scheme.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Bruce knew that.
Well, I'm sure he did. Well, Bruce is a lot smarter than me too.
Yeah. Actually, I did not, but I can see why they would call it.
Well,
they call it the orange popsicle.
The Interstate Railroad is the perfect prototype railroad for a model railroad because
I don't know.
It was not a very large railroad. Had beautiful engines, and it connected with like 4 other railroads.
I still think my Ontario Southland's just a little touch ahead.
That's because you're Canadian.
It's all about Canadian, Lionel.
Yeah, well, it's not all about Canadian. We only make up a very small segment of the industry.
I know.
I like the looks of the D&H ones. Those are
I
kinda
did. I
cool.
did have two guys this summer and came from Germany, and they're like, "We heard that podcast with you and Lionel talking about OSR, and we decided to get on a plane to come to Canada." I said, "A podcast made you come from Canada, from Germany?" Well, yeah, we had to come and see the OSR F unit. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to
There-
tell Lionel that the
there you
podcast
go.
got
Are
two
you
Germans to come.
Are you serious?
Yes.
And you're just telling me now?
Well, I had to wait till we
Were
got
you-
the
were you
ribbon
put-
about Canada.
Were you on this put on this planet just to irritate me?
It's all about infotainment tonight. It's all about infotainment.
No, it's
It's like the WWE. It's all scripted fun.
yeah, it's all scripted fun.
Never trust Slick Rick. He's always got the next answer.
So, are you serious? A couple of guys from Germany said they heard you on the podcast.
Yes. They were in the shop about 6 weeks ago. We've had this summer alone. We've had probably 25 to 30 European customers. Half of them had heard me or you on the podcast, and the other half had seen the Rapido newsletter talking about OSR, and all of them were coming down to Southern Ontario for the OSR.
I should be charging you for this. I'm going to send you a bill.
Can we work on a per diem, not a royalty base?
I don't know. We'll see.
Here's the thought: which of those RS3 paint schemes do you like?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Actually, whenever I go to the store, Lorne treats me very, very well. So that's important to know.
And the Boston maroon and yellow is nice.
Oh man, these RS3s these Bowser RS3s.
The first generation paint schemes rock.
Yeah, they do. They do. We should have a chat about. I like L&N paint scheme.
Yeah, those are nice.
They did three runs
the classic
of American.
CP maroon and gray.
Yeah.
So the American ones they did nickel plate, they did Delaware and Hudson, they did Milwaukee Road, they did Northern Pacific, Louisville and Nashville. They just did a whole whack of paint schemes, and like everyone fell in love with the Delaware and Hudson. Like the Delaware and Hudson's a beautiful paint scheme on an RS3. Beautiful paint scheme.
I wonder how many of these they ordered they manufactured, because they got a ton of paint schemes. Like, holy mackerel!
But they'll come in 3 batches. They won't all come at once.
But if you have them listed on your website here, they must be for sale.
They're available for pre-order.
Oh, okay. So none of these have landed yet?
No, they just got announced last week.
Really?
Yep.
So they still haven't landed.
That's the Canadian ones. They have already delivered all the American versions that you saw 4 years ago. Now they're announcing the Canadian versions.
Well, now,
because
how did we get on? Bruce, help me. Come on, Bruce, bail me out here. How did we all of a sudden? I innocently said, man, he must have got a lot of these because there's a ton of them on here. And all of a sudden you go, well, they haven't arrived yet. Like
that run.
Well, what run? I'm talking about the ones I'm looking at. I'm talking about the L&N one I'm looking at. I'm talking about the Boston and Maine's ones I'm looking at. I'm talking about all the ones on your website, the American road names. That's what we're talking about. We never talked about nothing else other than that. And then you're all of a sudden you're going, yeah, well, they haven't arrived yet. And it's like, man, just don't get ahead of the conversation. You can't get ahead of the conversation. So like, all right, but like here, the L&N one is due in stock, not yet. It's not arrived. So have any of these actually arrived at your store?
No.
Oh. So he still hasn't got them yet. Wow. Man, that's like I think that's got to be the slowest manufacturing of a locomotive.
Bruce, help me out here. Bruce, help me out here. Explain to Lionel that he's already delivered the first batch of Americans, and this is the second announcement batch.
Okay, so the first batch is come and gone.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, and I would know that how.
You haven't come down for lunch and see me lately, and I would have showed you.
You live 500 miles from my house. Why would I constantly be driving down to Tillsonburg?
And I still owe you a Harvey's lunch, too.
You owe me a lot more than a Harvey's lunch.
I know you. I owe you a Harvey's lunch and a round of golf. I know that.
You owe me all kinds of stuff. I haven't even made up the list yet. It's going to stun you.
The Green Bay and Western paint scheme's not bad looking.
That's a neat railroad, too.
The nickel plate one's cool. I'm looking at the ones that are available now.
Yeah, nickel plates.
Where are you seeing the available ones?
Look under Bowser in the right hand column, and I'll take you there.
Bruce did a search.
Well, okay. I ended up. I'm on new product, so I see. That's how I got confused.
Yeah.
This web. When are you going to rebuild your website?
The Northern Pacific, like any of these first generation.
So the rebuild's half done, but because of all the product launches, I couldn't do both at the same time, so I had to put the rebuild on a pause.
Oh, okay. So I see. So I went to Bowser, and the first thing I'm seeing is the SD30C.
Yeah, scroll.
Yep.
Keep scrolling.
All right. What is that's nobody's done that locomotive, have they? That SD30C.
Only Bowser.
Wow.
And they should be up by end of year, early next year.
The M36, the M636 is ugly. I wouldn't buy one of those.
They were ugly, but in typical Elko fashion, they blew a lot of black smoke.
Big brutes.
Big brutes.
Oh.
And, okay, there I am now.
The first ever train video I ever watched, Bruce, was the last stand of the big Elkos. If you remember that tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in Windsor, it was near the Chrysler plant, and the CP main line was right down at the end of my road. Toronto, Windsor, and they were always in there switching the Chrysler plant. And my buddy and I were down there one night watching a bunch of MLW/Alco units switch at night. And the display of sparks and black smoke out of these things was incredible.
Did you ever see the Hostler turning them around on the turntable there?
No.
This is this Green Bay and Western. Man, this is a beautiful paint scheme. Is that the one you were talking about, Bruce?
Well, no, Grand Trunk Western.
Oh yeah, that was a nice one. But
the Green Bay Western's another nice looking one too.
That's a beauty.
And the nickel plate right now with the
nickel
stripes
plate,
down below.
Nickel plate's beautiful.
Northern Pacific isn't too shabby.
I was at Uncle Dave's place there last weekend, which is like
yes, you were.
Not last weekend. Now it's like a long time ago.
Yeah, so sometime in the distant past.
Yeah, in the recent past.
Yes, okay.
Recently distant past.
Before Christmas, but
yeah, sometime in
before U.S. Thanksgiving.
And after the Indianapolis 500. So I had this kind of out of body experience.
All right.
So I get to his place, and I get there 3 hours early from the operating session, and I go down. And I'm always like, welcome. I can usually walk right in. And I go downstairs, and there he is on his. We chew the fat for a minute, and he goes, "I got to work on these locomotives." And he had these. He had 4 nickel plate GP7s that he was trying to do something with JMRI.
Yeah.
That his friend Tom Schmieder had brought over. Who's building a fantastic Lackawanna railroad, and he'd brought them over from Tony Custer's place.
Oh, really?
So there was.
So they were Tony Custer locos?
Yeah, they were Tony Custer's locomotives on Dave's layout, and he was speed matching them for Tony. And I was thinking, yeah, this is kind of like. I used to think that when I got the chance to hang out with Alan McClellan 3 times, especially at the end of the first layout, I was thinking, man, that might have been. But this was kind of like a modern day out of body experience. Like,
there you go.
Yeah, it was
Uncle Dave's speed match for Tony.
Yeah, and they, of course, it's a weird thing. I got a good discussion. Now we've blown it anyways because we're way past the hour, so we're well. And see, now this is a problem. We have now created a problem because this is going to be a single show that I've got to now fit into the schedule, and I've promised to do it before Springfield. You've created a problem, Lorne. You're nothing. You know what, Lorne? You're nothing but a pain in my butt.
I miss you too, Lionel.
but look at that beautiful paint scheme of the D&H RS3 showing us.
Oh yeah. Well, and
it's a beautiful.
These Bowser locomotives are spectacular. Have you seen any of them in person?
Every paint scheme.
Yeah, man. Are they as good looking in person as they seem to be in the pictures?
Solid like a rock. Just, if you're going to build a locomotive in the industry, there's nobody to benchmark off of more than Bowser. Like the SD40-2, phenomenal model, phenomenal sales. The 40F, the barn, great model. The big Elkos, like my Dr. Diesel, Peter, who helps me on the weekends, and you'll meet at the Springfield.
There you go. You're going at 100 miles an hour now again. Dr. Diesel Peter.
Yeah, Dr. Diesel, or as Izzy calls him, Papa Pete. He helps me on Saturdays on the shop with service work and other. And he's going to be part of the Springfield crew. He bought 6 RS3s.
Nice.
Every time we had another import of RS3s, he's like, "Oh my god, that paint scheme's so good. I need to put this aside. I'm going to take this home today."
They're beautiful.
So he fell in love with the paint schemes.
They're beautiful locomotives, and the paint schemes are so spectacular. Now, how many? So, I mean, he's made a bazillion of this RS3. Then, I mean, he must have just ordered a ton of them. Like, that's the thing that I find endlessly curious is how in the heck would you decide how many RS3 nickel plates, locomotive number 540? How could you ever determine how many of those to make? Is it just like throwing darts at a dartboard?
Well, in Bowser's situation, he's got both his direct business, direct dealers, his customers at his shop, his retail shop, plus he has the wholesalers. So he just takes it off the tally sheet. He has a really good sense of what he can sell. He always makes additional allocation over. And then if he sees a paint scheme in there that either A, doesn't have as much love, he might pop it up. Or if he knows that another paint scheme will be super hot because he has really good instincts, Lee does. And, he made extra D&H, and like I gobbled another 24 up and I had him gone in a day. Because it's a beautiful paint scheme. Like there's certain iconic paint schemes that are just amazing. And when you see it, it's like, all right, that takes me back to the trackside. I want that now.
Right. But that didn't really answer my question. Like, how do you figure out how many to... Man, how do you figure that out? How many to make? That would just drive me nuts.
Okay, so in my situation, when I made the freight car, Lionel, I had to set the production numbers before I even knew my pre-orders. So
Sure.
In that situation, it was a gamble. In the situation like a manufacturer like Bowser with these locomotives, he's working off his pre-order allocation that he's getting from all the different resources. The direct consumer, his shop, his direct dealers, as well as the wholesalers. And all he does is just tabulate those numbers, and then he makes an idea of how much additional slack he wants to produce.
So he's working off pre-order numbers before he gets the
pre-order and then
the factory
pre-order.
in. Yeah, and then he orders some more. Yeah.
Pre-order, then a gut and feel approach too.
Yeah.
And he's been doing pre-orders for like how many when you're doing pre-orders? How many of those will people lose interest by the time the model rolls around?
The crazy thing is, I had about 10 people that actually died on those RS3s. By the time of announcement to arrival, I had about 10 customers had passed.
Right.
Oh man.
So
that happens.
Did I tell you about my friend Larry? Lorne?
No.
Yeah, he passed away. And when he got to the pearly gates, he went up to heaven, and he got to the pearly gates. The Lord came to him and said, "Come forth, and I'll give you eternal happiness." But unfortunately, Larry came fifth, and he won a toaster.
That's right, folks. He's here all week. Try the veal, tip your waiter.
I can't wait till I hear all the jokes at Springfield.
Oh, no, but what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Springfield's deadly serious, man.
Yeah, there's no time.
I don't know what idle chit chat you've been listening to. But holy jeez.
We actually booked at the AML headquarters too.
Oh yeah.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Attaboy.
It's the best hotel to go to because it's just down the road and it's a couple bucks cheaper. And are you going to come to the AML dinner on Saturday night?
The plan is the four of us are going to come.
Okay. Yeah, well, I thought the plan was you were going to sign them all up for the Patreon channel too, and you never did that.
Ooh, silence.
Ooh,
silence.
Better check next month. I'll get it fixed. I'll get it fixed.
Well, I really hope. I'm pretty excited about all these. So, have you started pre-orders on the pipe cars
already?
Yeah, and how's that going?
So the pipe car and the smaller gondola, I have ability to adjust my quantities because they're not in production yet. So that one I can tweak a bit, but so far the numbers have been good. I'm just excited to get those two samples in my hand. So I'm going to have all the production samples of the 64. I'm going to have 2 pre-production samples of the 6000, and I'm going to have the pipe car at Springfield. And then I'm also going to possibly have 2 more surprise announcements the day of the weekend.
And will the pipe car have some loads with it?
There's going to be 2 different loads I'm going to show on display because I have a friend who is going to make the first cast load as a sample one that show example of a different type pipe you can put in the car.
So what's the one thing that surprised you the most since you started manufacturing cars?
Be careful on who you trust.
Okay. Like you kind of have a motor mouth, and because you're so excited, and too many people.
No.
No.
People will try to friend you, and then they'll try to work you over.
They'll try to friend you and then try to work you over. How? Like
Yeah.
to buy product or to sell you something, or
Try to. So I've had 7 people basically try to work me over on my next product cars, and I'm like, piss off.
well, like they want you to tell them what it is.
Oh yeah. I'm like, piss off.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah.
Okay, like people that surprised you, like kind of came out of the woodwork, or people you already knew.
People that I kind of thought were sticking around that they shouldn't have stuck their nose in. People who I trust in the industry. We've had open conversations privately. People that I have no relationship or have given me problems in the past. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, so I won't speak to you.
So would you say you've learned that the manufacturing freight car business is more cutthroat than you expected?
The whole industry is cutthroat.
Yeah.
Yeah, retail side can be very cutthroat, but the manufacturing side can be cutthroat because everyone thinks you're stepping upon everyone's design. And it's like, no, whoever gets to the tail first and gets their car out and produces it. And then, I had a couple people try to bully me off products, and I'm like, back off. I don't need your crap.
They tried to bully you like you told them what you were like.
Bully me on our first car, and I'm like, I'm not taking this from you.
Oh, they wanted you to not make it.
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
I'm actually, as much as grief as I give you, I'm actually very proud of you. I'm very, very proud of you. I think because how old are you?
I'm 36.
You are a smart guy for 36. Very proud of how hard you work. You work very, very hard, which I'm very impressed with. But not only that, you're very successful and I'm very proud of the effort you put in. You should be proud of yourself. Me being proud of you doesn't mean nothing, but you should be proud of yourself. So that's kind of an interesting discussion without naming names and things like that. You have discovered. So you already kind of knew that retail business was kind of cutthroat, but then
I always knew there was an underbelly seediness to the business. I just didn't think it was this bad.
Really, eh? Mm-hmm. And then what? And then that's where I always come back to my argument of, how there was always the thing of how to make a small fortune in model railroading start out with a big fortune. I don't believe that anymore. I think the guys that know how to properly run businesses, I think they're making a fair, decent living, and which is fine because that's what you do when you're in business. You're trying to make a good living from it. And I think that goes back to this hobby is just massively bigger than anybody realized. And there's no real way to keep a tabs on just how extensive the hobby is. Would that be a fair question? And one of the things you've discovered from getting into manufacturing business is that once again the hobby is bigger than you already had thought.
The hobby size, I know how large this hobby size is in Canada. I know based on the number of retailers, the number of manufacturers, and the number of dollars. If you do enough Internet and Statistics Canada research, you can figure that out pretty quick. American and North American size, I have a pretty good idea what it is. What I've actually discovered, and this goes back to like all those other times I've done podcasts, by having this private label, I've been able to elevate my company, my brand, and been able to elevate myself. And I'm very proud of what I've accomplished so far, Lionel, but I'm just starting. And Andrew and I really want to get off with a really big bang and a good foot at Springfield and put ourselves on a big stage to say, look, we're here. We're going to be a fixture for many years, because Andrew and I are talking about making freight cars for the next 30 years.
Well, sure. Absolutely. And why do you think manufacturing freight cars has elevated your business again? Like what's the connection?
It's helped me reach new customers that never knew about OVR.
Really?
Ever.
Well, and how are they finding out about what you're making? Like, because you don't even post it on your Facebook, on your website. You barely can even find it on your website. It's hard to even find the darn thing on the website.
So just to give you an idea, so the day of our pop-up event, we had 365 people attend. That poster that we shared both on our newsletter and our Facebook reached 37,000 people.
What poster?
So the day of our event, we Facebook posted all of our announcements with all the sales advertisements and purchase links, pre-order links between all 3 listings, and our newsletter. It reached over 30,000 unique customers. So everybody, and then it reached multiple train boards, and within 2 days, I had 5 manufacturers reach out to me and say how proud they were of making the announcements for them. Said, we have your backing. We're so happy you're doing this, Lorne. You're part of our business on the retail side. Let's work together so we don't step on each other's toes. And it was really solid. Like I was so humbled, Lionel.
So you had manufacturers reach out to you.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that was like, I've had other CAs reach out to me with my main focus of work, but to have, companies that I bought product from and their head CFO, CEOs reach out to me and give me their backing, or one of them is like, hey, anytime you want to talk, here's my number, call me.
This hobby there's something lately, for some reason or other, I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about this hobby that's much more than, it's like huge, but hidden. It's like hidden in plain sight. This hobby is like hidden in plain sight, because it's like every time you turn around, like here you are being really successful, dipping your toes into the manufacturing business, and it's going really well. Now, granted, you have to be good at business to get something to work. It's no different than this podcast. You have guys from Germany coming over to visit the store because they've heard the podcast. I mean, man, I don't think we have any idea how many connections we're making with this thing, with the podcast or with your store. Man, it's just like, but you got to be good at it for sure. There's something I'm not getting my finger on. You know what I'm saying, Bruce?
It's one of these things like everybody seems to be, oh yeah, I'm on a railroad. You didn't know that? And well, no, I've known you for 15 years. I never knew you did this. And all of a sudden, it's kind of like okay to be a model railroad instead of you got to not let anybody know because they think you're a dork and a geek and whatever else combinations you can throw in there. Yeah,
exactly. It's completely changed. I think it's just going to become more mainstream because there's so much more you can do now with the hobby. We talk often about building small layouts, but I think there's so much more in this hobby. And then as Dave and I talk about the camaraderie of this hobby, it just makes it that much more interesting to be part of.
So great example. Our friend Bob, who's going to be with us for Springfield, both myself, Steve, Andrew, Peter, and Bob, our friend, he doesn't have a layout. He lives vicariously through Steve's or my layout. He's actually building us 2 specialized dioramas for the industries, both for the pipe car and for the scrap and the steel car, and the scrap and the crash car. So we have 3 different specialized dioramas that show how the freight car can actually be used on your layout, whether it's a big layout or a pike or a shelf layout. And we're going to have that on display at the show too.
Okay. You got to find out what building you're going to be in. We're in the Better Living Center, aren't we, Bruce?
Yes.
We have a very nice display. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Well, make sure the table master, you'll have it all under control.
It's all about the table master. So are you guys all traveling together?
We're all going down together. I got the hotel, got the tables booked, and we're going to go down Friday morning, and we're going to come back Monday afternoon.
Friday morning.
Yep.
Friday morning.
Yeah.
You'll miss all the Thursday night festivities at the steakhouse across the parking lot from the hotel.
I know, but I've got work obligations. I got council obligations, and also 2 of us. Andrew just became a dad the last couple months, so he's got a newborn too.
Oh, okay, is he taking him with him?
No, Holly's taking the baby.
Oh, okay.
I'm taking Andrew.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Seems like a fair trade.
So what vehicle are you guys going in?
We'll go down in the company truck.
Oh, you have a truck?
Yep.
A company truck?
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that. I thought all you had was a Mustang.
No, but I have an F-150 too.
Oh, it's 4-door, one of those big 4-door jobs.
Yep.
Okay.
They are comfortable and nice to ride.
They are. It's a nice ride. It's a sweet ride.
Very.
So then you throw your modules in the back and all your crap in the back.
Yep.
All right. Look at that. We made a show.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So now we got to get the different script out.
Yeah, but the problem is now I've got more stuff and I don't know where to put it. Like I literally am almost like I've gotten so I looked in the computer the other day and I got so much stuff I almost got to stop again. This is hard work having a podcast, you know.
Could you have a
podcast? They said it'd be fun. They said.
Could you have a special of a special podcast?
No, because I tried that before. If I start doing more than 2 a week, it stops being fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
It absolutely stops being fun at that. There's a magic mark there, and if you go over 2 a week, the fun goes out the door, and then it starts to become a grind. And do 2 a week, it's not a grind; it's just fun.
I would say the last time you and I did a podcast, it felt like I was on a grind, but the last 3 months, I've actually have found my groove again, and I have got the love and excitement back in me about the hobby, about the business, and the future.
Yeah, like now you're combining building freight cars. Now here's a question for you: in your dream of you're going to build freight cars for the next 30 years, OVR trains.
Yeah.
Do you have this long distance dream of manufacturing locomotives?
Not until the supply chain and electronics issues calm down.
That wasn't the question. That was
Andrew.
It was pretty much of a yes or no answer. That was
yes, but I'm going to wait a while.
Okay, but I said long distance dreams. So and someday you'd hope to. So how about this? This is a yes or no question. Do you someday hope to manufacture locomotives as well as freight cars?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. I'm exhausted, Bruce.
There we go. So was that tough?
Yeah, I know.
And I'll even go one further.
You're gonna have to have another plate of brownies, Lionel.
What locomotive do you think you'd want to do first, Lorne? I'll even answer that one for you.
What locomotive, Lorne, would you do first if you did manufacture locomotives?
A CN sweep.
Oh, again with the Canadian stuff. What is a CN?
Ooh, there you go.
Oh my God!
What's the CN? What's the CN sweep?
So it was a rebuilt SW1200 RS with GP9 parts.
All right, let's all talk together at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. So what is the CN sweep?
It was a remanufactured locomotive by Canadian National at the Point St. Charles shops in Quebec. And it's an SW1200 RS, so that's the SW1200 that CN had, and it had GP9 parts. And they only had 22 in the roster. CN had 2 variations, and then they went on to subsequent smaller roads like Canac, and I believe 2 of them also spent some time with Can-Do and another company. They were predominantly out of Toronto, Niagara Falls, Hamilton. They were basically like these little shorty box switchers. They're a freak.
Yeah.
But I like freaks.
Yeah, because it's basically an SW unit with a Jeep long hood on it.
Yeah.
And why would you?
They're weird looking things, but they're cool.
Do you think the Canadian market could substantiate making a specifically Canadian locomotive? Because aren't you really cutting out a whole facet of people that would want to buy a locomotive?
I think you'd sell more to collectors than actual modders.
Yeah. Okay.
And it is a relatively popular subject. It pops up. No, maybe not popular, but it does pop up now again in the Model Railroad Press. There's an article in RMC a number of years ago. I think Bob Boudreau did about kit bashing a sweep, and lately we've seen some others. Information on those. So it's an interesting locomotive.
What would be the second? What would be the second locomotive you'd make?
Probably
something American. You got to keep that. You got to keep churning. That you got to keep tapping into the American market. That's where you're. We just don't have the population to sustain. You got to keep tapping.
There's a lot of guys in the U.S. and around the world modeling Canadian stuff.
Is there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Who are they? Do you have names?
No.
Oh. I'll need names and addresses.
The first 3 trains I ever saw, Lionel, I saw Norfolk and Southern -8 40C playing 4-pitch baseball practice, and I fell in love with Norfolk and Southern. But those units have been mass produced by other companies, so I wouldn't do that. The second locomotive I ever saw was a CSX-8 40CW, again, already been produced. And the other first locomotive I ever saw was the Sweep. Now, it is a weird one. I would not hit enough production numbers, but based on how I have the private label structured, I don't have to hit the same number as a manufacturer because my business goes straight to consumer, not through a distributor or not through other layers. So there can be less units produced and a little bit less play than worried about. I would love to produce something American. Like my other favorite road was Conrail, and I would love something in a beautiful Conrail quality, but a lot of those models have already been made.
Right. So you're gonna have to put your thinking cap on then.
I mean, I would love a beautiful SW1500 in a Conrail quality paint scheme because I have fond memories of going down to Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania with my parents.
Right. The CN Sweep is ugly.
I mean, some of the best memories I ever had was at Gallation and Horseshoe Curve. I mean, there's some other ones. I mean, the problem is, and like, it's a great example. Like this past week, Rapido announced they're going to make the F40HM. The only buyer was Chicago Metro, but because some of the tooling could be used from other models, they can make it, and they had a lot of demand from a lot of their Illinois dealers to do it, especially like Lombard and DePlain. But again, it's a really different, freaky unit. Doesn't really fit their company profile, but they found an avenue to provide product into the American market. I mean, I had a guy in the weekend tell me that he wants an RDC4, and I'm like, no one's ever going to make an RDC4. Give that one up. I mean, what model would you think if you were going to make a locomotive, Lionel? What do you think that you would love, or would you redo something that a previous company's done and just do it better? Because that's something I've always heard. Like, other companies have made a model, we're going to make something better and bring it up to today's standards. But then you have the added dilemma: are you actually going to be able to meet those standards because the price is going to be that much higher? And that's always the adage. So, I mean, the freight cars. I mean, Andrew and I have freight car dreams forever. I mean, we want to make 2 to 3 freight cars every year, and we have 2 production slots every year now guaranteed going forward. So that's a huge win in itself. To make a locomotive, I would probably be scared a bit because of waiting on electronic supplies, PCB boards, in and out of having decoders, not having decoders.
Yeah, but
there's a lot more variables that could go wrong. That's the scary thing about that. And I know that sounds like I'm being like, not really like, worried, but
you'll figure all that stuff out because the more manufacturing you do, the more knowledge you'll get, and the more knowledge you get, the more you'll become more confident, and blah blah blah, and away you'll go.
In a matter of like 3 months, I learned more about this industry and more about making our first 2 freight cars than I knew in 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it'll continue to go. It's the way it'll continue. You'll just be more and more successful, and you'll learn stuff, and then you'll be able to make a locomotive, and not just one. You'll be able to make bunches of them, because I think that's eventually the way things are going to go is, you're going to make Bowser-type quality locomotives. And, I mean, RS3s have been made forever, and yet his are jumping off the shelves. Right?
There's the model I'd be interested in making is the Jeep 20 Eco. Canadian Pacific, and there is a few American buyers of it too.
Canadian Pacific.
I know.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Canadian Pacific, big name in the U.S.
That's true.
They will be. They will be after the merger. After the merger, they'll be a big name.
That's true. Well, that's something that you forget.
Even now, they're all over the place.
Right. That's right. That's the thing. That's something you forget.
Every time I see pictures of CP and CN units, I got to figure, okay, they're just down in the States. They're not running up in Canada.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's changed. It's quite an amazing change, actually. All right. Bruce, can you give out our email address?
Yes, our email address, if you want to let us know how many pre-order RS3s you want, send us an email. We'll get it to Lorne. Our email address is modlerslife@gmail.com. That's modlerslife with 1 L like Lorne, not 2 L's like Lionel.
There you go. Wow. Nice. Boy, Kelly, if Kelly had been here, he would have loved to have had that one.
Oh, yeah, but too bad.
Yep, he missed out on it.
Yep.
And you're listening. I'm putting this on the free channel, Lorne, only because I'm trying to help you with your sales.
I appreciate that.
This is quality Patreon stuff.
Yes,
but
you can put it on the Patreon. The Modler's Life fans support me and have been really strong with me, and I look forward to connecting with them down at the hotel and at the show.
Absolutely, that's cool that you have that much connection with the AML fans, but AML fans are everywhere. The AML nation is growing exponentially. It's growing and growing and growing. It's just it's out of control.
Exponential growth.
Exponential growth. Yeah. I'm very proud of you, Lorne. Hang in there, buddy.
Thanks, Lionel.
Hey, Lionel.
We have a website.
Oh, there we go.
amodelerslife.com.
Yes.
And if you go to Midwest Model Railroad, which is one of your competitors, but also Stephen Atwell's a good guy like you too. That's why I'm really looking forward to. We're going to do a show with you and Stephen and Chris Brimley talking retail, talking model railroad retail.
We're talking retail, folks.
Yeah, we're talking retail.
Come on down.
We're talking model train retail therapy here now on the AML Nation.
Yeah, that scene from WKRP in Cincinnati when Herb Tarlick's in the stereo shop and his Dell from something stereo. Yeah. Speed kills Dell. Now I'm just mumbling. So anyways, go to Midwest Model Railroad, go to their URL, midwestmodelrr.com, go to the menu bar, go all the way over to the right, click on AML, and boom, you are in a wonderland of AML merchandise, hats, hoodies, mugs, T-shirts, whatever you could possibly need. It's all right there. That I think we're done now, eh, Bruce?
You missed the part about scrolling down to my happy face.
Oh, yeah, right. And if you miss the email address, well, I don't have a script here. We're very, Bruce, have you ever noticed we're pretty laid back in our delivery?
Yeah. Script? What script? We don't need no stinking script.
Script, yeah. If you miss the email address and you just scroll down to Bruce, picture of Bruce, the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state, all you got to do is click on his picture, and the address is already filled in for you. And we love getting email. I got one the other day. They don't like the Kelly questions.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so we'll have to read that one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm torn about the Kelly questions. I just can't. I just don't have the love for the Kelly questions. Anyways, but we'll keep plodding along because I think there's some good people to ask Kelly questions to, and some people do like them.
It's always entertaining.
It's always entertaining.
Usually entertaining.
Yeah.
Like where else would you found about birds hitting windshields and getting whipped off of windshield wipers because tarantulas were migrating across the road than from Michelle Kempema's Kelly questions?
Exactly. Or if you could choose one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, yes.
What was it? What did he say?
The power to understand women.
The power to understand women. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Michelle. How you doing? Angela. Okay.
Hi, my wife, Sarah. Hope you're listening to this after the fact.
Yeah, exactly.
the lovely Jean, who may or may not listen at times.
Yeah. And you know what? Mick Shea, he posted a picture the other day on the fans, and they were in South Dakota somewhere, and he was talking about how he was just finished listening to episode such and such, and they're on a road trip, him and his wife, and I'm thinking, well, I hope he's either she was driving. Like I got the impression that he's forcing her to listen to this while they're driving, and I'm thinking, man, that just seems like almost cruel and inhuman punishment, making your wife listen to this. That's it.
It's like John During. While he picked his wife up after an all-night trip from Italy to wherever he had to go get her in an 8-hour drive, and he threw on the interview with him and Gordy and looked over to see what his wife thought. And she was fast asleep.
There you go. That's perfect. I know. Chris Adams and his wife listen to them sometimes.
My wife would off me in the corner if I forced her to listen to a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. especially one with me on it. All right, Lorne, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So remember, A Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
miserable Toronto Blue Jays fans.
be N, could be HO. Your fast track to fun with Rapido.
It's another Lincoln Homer.